Hi, GenderBlenders. It's Steffi. This is week 68, and this week is a free topic. So I thought I would talk a little bit about our voice, our voices. So I have a little bit of props to go through. So I'm going to turn some music on for just a few moments and describe a couple things about our voices. What you're listening to is this speaker here. It's one of my homemade critters. It's pretty wide range. But if I put my hand on the cone to damp it, all of a sudden all the low frequencies went away, didn't they? See the difference? On the other hand, if I put some resonating device, see the difference? That gives us a little bit of difference between them. On the other hand, I can generate music with a different speaker. Let me hook that up. Now notice that sounds altogether different. Whoops. That one sounds altogether different, doesn't it? Because it's shaped differently and it's for a different purpose. Just like us. We're shaped differently. I'm going to turn this off so I don't end up tripping over everything and roll stuff out of the way. We're shaped differently. We are a little bit different in terms of what we do, and that controls the quality of our voices as well. And that's the key when you're trying to transition from male to female or female to male, as to how you generate your voice. So let me do that with my own voice. I'm now speaking in a relatively female voice. This is the normal voice that I use every day. But there's another high-pitched voice. It's called falsetto. And that's generated differently. If I talk like this, then if you'll notice, I really haven't changed my pitch, but somehow I sound like Mickey Mouse. Now, what did I do differently? What did I do differently? I constricted the back of my throat and my tongue so it's hard back there. I changed that resonance. And typically men, when they're trying to produce Mickey Mouse voices, that's how they do it. But the key to generating a female voice is to not constrict it. Change the method, just like you saw here. Change the method in which you're generating those voices. So right now, a falsetto voice has no breath to it, if you'll notice. But a female voice has a lot of breath to it. And just like a male voice, I can't almost do this anymore. And a male voice is generated much slower. It's generated in the throat, and it's generated through the throat, through the chest. So you're using the whole cavity. It's like a much larger speaker as opposed to a much smaller speaker. I'm sorry I have to get out of that voice. I can't do that anymore. But that gives you an indication of some different voices. So what's happened here? What have we just seen? We've seen that by practicing different ways of producing speech, we can get different sound patterns. And for example, if you're trying to go from male to female, if you let the breath out, but only speak in your throat, in your head, not in your chest, or anything like that, because then, and you can feel that resonance. Ooh, that doesn't work for me anymore. Sorry, folks. That's the first time I've actually used that voice, even in practice runs, for a long time. I just don't use it. But you can see, when I was generating that in my throat, and you can feel the resonance in your throat and in your chest. That's how you get that deeper voice. You're using all of that tract, so it ends up being deeper. The resonance is lower, just like you saw me when I put the cup in front of the speaker. It gives you a different kind of a voice, just like it gives me a different kind of a voice. But if I had a longer, thinner cup, it would be much lower in resonant frequency. So now, how does that relate? What does that mean that we're supposed to do for generating the voices that we desire? And that means that, for example, if you're trying to go from male to female, you don't want to hit that falsetto. You don't want to constrict the back of your voice so that you sound like Mickey Mouse. It's sort of like if you put something in front of your nose, you have no breath coming out. But that's the wrong voice, because normally our voices do have breathiness to them, and we do breathe in and out and in and out. So that's one of the things to keep in mind, is how you're generating that voice. And if you're trying to go to a male, from female to male, if you use more and start using the lungs in generating that voice much deeper. Okay? So how do you do that? You practice, 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 practice. That's, of course, the answer to everything. And male to female, it took me 10, 11 months before I could get this voice to where you hear it today. That's a lot of practice. I do use singing a lot. I sing at church a lot because no one really cares what you sound like, and you can practice all that you want because everyone else is just as bad. So I use that a lot. If you're a male or male to female transitioning, start with a relatively low pitch because that's going to be easier for you to generate. And as you become more comfortable with it, start becoming higher and higher. You don't have to try to get too high because that sounds somehow wrong. And likewise, if you're going from female to male, start what is comfortable for you and start gradually lowering it and lowering it and lowering it until you start to feel that it's being generated in your throat and in your chest. That's how you change your voice. And that's how you begin to practice. As I said, some of the things for me were a lot of practice, using music to guide me. First thing I tried to do when I was learning to sing is to try to hit the pitch. And as soon as I was able to hit the pitch, I found that I had almost no volume. I couldn't project that pitch very well, but I was hitting it. So then what that allowed me to do was to then start moving to a louder and louder and louder voice right along with that. So maybe, just maybe, this is a little bit of help to folks trying to generate their voice in their transformation. So until next week, this is Steffi saying bye-bye, everyone.